Okay, so we're going to talk about someone you've probably never heard of, but whose ideas, well, they're everywhere. This is the guy who basically invented the story that defines so much of our world. Good versus evil, God versus the devil, heaven versus hell. I mean, just think about it for a second. This epic battle, it's at the heart of everything, right? So many of our stories, our philosophies, our religions. But here's the thing. These ideas had to come from somewhere. They didn't just pop into existence. So where did it all begin? You know the story. It always starts with this, right? The idea of a single, all-good God, a benevolent creator. It's a cornerstone of how many of us see the world. And of course, what's a hero without a villain? You've got to have that powerful cosmic evil adversary, a force that stands against the good guy at every single turn. And where does it all lead? To this, the final showdown. The day of judgment, where it all comes to a head. But what if I told you that this entire story, this whole narrative, isn't original at all? Yeah, that's the truly wild part. These ideas, they don't actually start with Judaism or Christianity or Islam. Nope, they go back way, way further. The real source is a little-known Bronze Age prophet from ancient Persia, a total religious revolutionary who lived thousands of years ago. All right, so let's jump in our time machine. Let's go meet the man at the very center of it all, Zarathustra. His name was Zarathustra. You might have heard him called Zoroaster, which is what the Greeks called him. He was a poet, a priest, and a prophet who lived, somewhere around 3,000 years ago. And the vision he had, well, it was about to completely reshape the spiritual world. But to really get just how radical, how absolutely game-changing his ideas were, you first have to picture the world he was born into. And that was a world of many, many gods. So before Zarathustra came along, the ancient Indo-Iranian people had a whole pantheon of gods, mostly tied to nature. Religion was all about performing these really elaborate rituals and sacrifices. The whole point was to keep the cosmos, to keep nature in balance. Your personal morality, that wasn't really the main focus. And time? Time wasn't a line. It was a giant circle, just repeating itself over and over again, forever. And this is where you can see his revolution in just stark contrast. Zarathustra came in and basically flipped the whole table. Instead of many gods, he said, nope, there's one supreme God. That endless circle of time, he straightened it out into a line, a story with a clear beginning, middle, and end. And most importantly, he said that what really matters isn't some empty ritual. It's your personal morality. That was now the single most important thing. So how did he do it? How did he frame this brand new reality with one God and one great evil? Well, it all started with this incredibly powerful new idea called ethical dualism. See, in his vision, the universe wasn't just some random collection of gods and spirits doing their thing. No way. It was a battlefield. Everything, and I mean everything, from the stars in the sky to the very thoughts inside your head, was part of this epic cosmic struggle between two opposing forces, one of pure absolute good and the other of pure absolute evil. And these two forces, they had names. On Team Good, you've got Ahura Mazda, which means the wise Lord. He's the creator, the source of all goodness, light, and truth, a concept they called Asha. And on the other side, his eternal enemy is Angra Mainyu, the destructive spirit. He's all about darkness, lies, which they call Druj, and just pure, unadulterated destruction. You could absolutely make the case that this is the first real devil figure in all of human history. But this is where Zarathustra's vision goes from interesting to truly revolutionary. Because this great cosmic war, it wasn't just for the gods to duke it out. It was a war that needed us. It required humanity to make a choice. And this is maybe his most profound insight of all. We're not just watching this from the sidelines, eating popcorn. Nope. Every single human being is a soldier in this war. We all have free will, and we have to choose a side. Our lives, the choices we make every single day, that's the battlefield. So, okay, how do you fight for the good guys? How do you join Ahura Mazda's side? Zarathustra made it beautifully simple. It wasn't about memorizing complex rituals anymore. It was all about aligning yourself with truth, with Asha, through this simple but powerful triad Good thoughts, good words, and good deeds. That's it. That's how you tip the scales. That's how you help goodness win. And that was really the core of his whole message. Your salvation didn't depend on some fancy ritual you performed just right. It depended on the moral quality of your life. For pretty much the first time in history, your personal choices, your ethics, they suddenly mattered on a cosmic scale. So the big question is, how did this ancient vision from a Bronze Age prophet end up shaping, well, the modern world? The journey of this idea is honestly just as incredible as the idea itself. Now, to be fair, historians love to debate exactly when Zarathustra lived. If you look at the language in his hymns, the Gathas, it points to maybe as early as 1500 BCE. But honestly, the exact date isn't what's most important here. What's really mind-blowing is the journey his ideas went on. And we can actually trace that journey. So, Zarathustra's ideas catch on and become the state religion of the Persian Empire. A huge deal. Then, fast forward to the 6th century BCE. During what's called the Babylonian exile, Jewish thinkers end up living in the Persian Empire, and they come into direct contact with this powerful Zoroastrian worldview. And this is the key moment. Scholars are pretty sure that this is when some of those core concepts, a devil figure, a final judgment, heaven and hell, started to seep into the foundations of Judaism. And from there, they flowed into early Christianity and later into Islam. It was this slow, quiet, but totally world-changing transfer of ideas. So when you step back and look for the echoes of his vision today, man, they are everywhere. A powerful evil adversary? Yep, that's Satan. A linear history that ends in one big final battle? Hello, Armageddon. The idea of a last judgment for everyone, the resurrection of the dead, the final destinations of heaven and hell, all of these are core beliefs for billions of people, and they all bear the unmistakable fingerprint of Zarathustra's ancient revolution. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? By giving humanity a real moral purpose, a starring role in this grand cosmic drama, Zarathustra might have done more than just found a religion. He might have actually written the script for the story that in so many ways we're all still living in and trying to figure out today.